My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another episode. Today, how to fund your collection on a limited budget. If you want to get into collecting or investing cards, but you only have a little bit of money to get started with, this episode could give you some really good information, a really good strategy that could prove to be successful and allow you to start to multiply the dollars in which you can build your collection with. I'm excited to share that information with you today. I am also excited that in today's episode, we have two giveaways. Not one, but two giveaways in today's episode, so stay tuned for that. So this topic today, how to fund your collection on a limited budget. This topic is something that people have written in and asked me to do a show about, but one of my listeners actually wrote in with their own ideas, their own story of how they successfully did this. And they submitted an article to me through my article submission program on my website. Some of you may have read it. In fact, we had over 700 people read the article. It was a very, very popular article. Put it up on my website about a week ago. The gentleman's name was Chris Fine, and he wrote this article telling his personal story about a strategy that he used to fund his collection on a limited budget. I thought it was a really great article, and as it turns out, it was the most popular article posted to my website last month. So I decided to create a whole episode about his strategy, and I'm going to bring Chris on the show here in a couple of minutes, and we're going to hear more about his strategy and his story and how he was able to start with a very small amount of money and build up some profits from some early cards that he bought, and then use those profits to continue to grow and grow his collection and do that successfully. So it's a great story with some interesting takeaways. I'm excited to have Chris share that directly with you. Now, I mentioned that Chris's article was the most popular article posted to my website, Sports Card Investor, in the month of October, but I had a lot of really good articles posted. And as you know, we started the article submission program where every month I'm giving $250 away to whoever submitted the article that was the most popular article that month in terms of views and in terms of comments. It was difficult and frankly a little painful for me to have to pick a winner because I really liked a number of the articles, and I wish that we could have had more than one winner. But ultimately, a winner has to be picked, and it was Chris Fine in his article on how to fund your collection on a limited budget, which we're going to hear more about in just a minute when Chris comes on the show, that won the prize for October, won the $250. Congratulations, Chris, for such a good article. And for any of you out there who have an idea for an article that you might want to write and submit, now is a great time to do it because we have a fresh $250 prize we're going to be giving away for the month of November to the most popular article. How you can submit your article is to go to sportscardinvestor.com and click on article submissions. Speaking of articles on the website, there's a great new post I just put up today. We've got the big dogs writing articles for us now. We have Brian Flynn. Brian Flynn is a freelance writer for Sports Collector Digest and MLB Marathon. And Brian is a listener to the show and wanted to write an article and submitted an article today on resources you can use to evaluate baseball prospects. So that is a new article. It's on my website tonight. Go check it out. Resources you can use to evaluate baseball prospects. Good tips there if you're going to be trying to figure out, prospect cards of up-and-coming players to buy. You may find this article helpful, some of the resources that Brian links to in the article, so go check that out. Okay, before I get Chris on and we start the interview, let me tell you about the first giveaway. I know you guys are excited. 2 giveaways during today's show. So the first giveaway, as many of you know, you've heard me talk about it in past shows, I have a Discord chat server, and the Discord chat server has been awesome. We now have, I think, about 700 people on the Discord chat server. Constant talk about investing in all kinds of different sports cards. It's a lot of fun. one of the guys who is one of my moderators, a guy who volunteered early on to be a moderator, who has helped me grow the Discord chat server. His handle is 818 Hype Plug. You may have seen him on there, 818 Hype Plug. He has started a YouTube channel with his younger brother called Kids Case Breaks, and they're trying to get their YouTube channel going. And so he wanted to do a special giveaway for people who listen to Sports Card Investor and who want to check out his channel. He's going to do a special giveaway. He's giving away a Dennis Santana rookie card autograph and a Caleb Ferguson rookie card autograph for checking out what he's doing. The way that you enter the contest and get to what he's doing is there's a link in the show notes to this show. So if you are watching on YouTube, expand the description of the show where it says show more, hit show more, and it will show the whole description or the little down arrows. So it expands the description and you will see a link to get to his contest. Or if you are listening on the podcast, it's also in the show notes if you expand those in the podcast so you can get to his contest and enter that. The second giveaway that I'm giving away today, I will tell you about right after this interview with Chris Fine. Let's not wait any longer for it. Let me bring Chris Fine on the show to talk about how to fund your collection on a limited budget. Chris, welcome to Sports Card Investor. Super excited to have you here and have everybody hear your story. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your story and about how you have found this really unique way to profit from junk wax?
Well, like a lot of people that are in the hobby now, I started collecting when I was a kid, as a young teenager. And, back then you're looking for, the hot rookies for back then. And of course, Jordan, because he was still playing. And then I stepped away from the hobby for almost 20 years. And I've talked to a lot of people that they started out, collecting when they were a kid, and then they jump back in. And then they want to go back to this their 90s stuff and be like, hey, what can I make from this stuff? Well, it was the junk era, so it's kind of hard. So when I came back into the hobby, I started looking and I was like, is any of the stuff that I have worth anything? And the thing that you can always sell is Jordan, but I had to have a way of adding value to the individual cards. I was kind of looking for a way to come back into the hobby and be able to show some profit, to be able to fund what I'm doing with the cards that I'm sending into Grating.
So you got back into it, but Grating didn't exist when you were collecting the first time. Now Grating existed. So where did you see like, oh goodness, if I could find some cards from this vintage era and then actually grade them and submit them, that I could get this multiple on the value of these cards from the junk wax time?
Yeah, so when I'm looking to get back in, basically you go to the eBay sales, because I'm already looking at my older stuff that's in binders to see, hey, what can I sell? And you quickly learn that a lot of it you just can't sell, even if if you wanted to, because there's so many of that card available. But I did find, you find what's been sold on eBay, look at your sold prices. And I said, well, I don't have this card, but how quickly and cheaply can I get this card? And it turned out that, getting a 1990 Fleer box at that time, you should pay about $20. The first box I paid $40, second box I paid $20. And so, you pull, you get 6, 7, 8 card Jordans, and I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. I had never graded before. So having never graded before, I didn't know how hard they were going to be on my cards. I didn't know all the ins and outs. So that grade was horrible. BGS gave me 5 free grades on a 10-day turnaround. And I sent in a Hoops Jordan from I think a 96 set, and I got an 8.5, and then horrible. And so I ended up selling those for like nothing. Of course, the grade was free, whatever. And so then I realized, as I started doing research, I need something that has like borders so that I can see what the centering is like, because I sent in a 92 Jordan with that first order where he's from Stadium Club, one where he's dunking on Patrick Ewing. But there's no border. It's just a card, and it's harder to tell where the centering is, and that's one of the biggest keys is the centering on your grading. So moving on, I looked at something like the 1990 Fleer Jordan, and that has borders and also there's a red and blue line, and you can line those up and see what what your centering is going to look like. And I just got very, just I guess lucky. Second time I'm going to do a submission, and learned a lot between the first submission and the next submission. You can't. At first, I'm thinking I can just send this into BGS. They'll stamp a 10 on it, and I'm going to make a profit. Doesn't work like that at all. So definitely learned that there's a lot of technique involved, and then about how much you want to invest to get those cards out there to the graders. And so with the Jordan, I found that it's cool to be first on the market with something. You're not going to be first on the market with Jordan. Like I'm excited to see the first Zion PSA BGS show up, but with Jordan, you can kind of wait. If it's a 65-day return time with PSA, the only thing that's really going to change Jordan is probably the amount of the Jordan cards that are on eBay or that are in the market. So, and then you have to think about, well, am I saturating the market with this card and making less and less each time I sell it too?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's great points about grading. So the first time you submitted for grading, you weren't really looking at those factors, in terms of what actually makes a good grade. But it sounds like not only did you learn what factors make a good grade through experience, but you also learned to actually concentrate on buying junk wax of sets where it would be easier for you to figure out like what the centering of a card was because of the design of the set.
Correct. The design of the set. The other ones that I was successful with too was a 1993-94 Fleer. And I just went back to Fleer because I went to what I knew when I was a kid. Now basketball is like purely Panini because of their exclusive contract. So I went back to what I knew when I was a kid. And in the 93-94, the base Jordan has some very defined white borders. And that one, it was selling at that time for around 40-ish. And so you have to know where your cards are that you're looking for. Because I had to do research to see, to say, well, how am I going to pull the most Jordans? So it's pretty inexpensive to buy some 93-94 Fleer and get quite a few base Jordan cards and be able to flip those. So if you're looking for a particular card, you got to do some research and see, well, where is that card? What set is it in? Is it Series 1? Back then there was Series 1 and Series 2. And there's the cello packs and the wax packs and the different packs. So you got to know where to look for the cards you're looking for. And in the Series 2 of 93-94, you start coming across inserts like the Jordan Living Legends, which is a very high foil card that doesn't grade very well, but even a 9 will sell for quite a bit of money because the population on a 10 is very low. And also there's a sharpshooter Michael Jordan, which I have a couple of those out right now being graded. And the last one of those that sold BGS 9.5 sold for $89.
Wow, that's cool. So knowing what sets to pick of junk wax based upon the particular cards and what they would sell for on the resale market when graded helps direct you to what junk wax you want to buy.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can literally buy junk wax. It is junk. If you jump into the Series 1 of 94-95, Jordan was retired. And so in the Series 1, you won't see any Jordans in there. So you'll just be, and then no rookies either because it's Series 1. So that's purely junk. I mean, if you've got some PC guys you want to pick up from there for some reason, you can, but you're not going to make any money there.
Right, right. Talk to me about the economics of it a little bit. So how are you buying the junk wax, and what are and how are you kind of figuring out like what I should pay versus what I could potentially get as a return if I pull some Jordans and are able to get them graded?
Right. So with with the 1990, it's bumped up a little bit. Like I said in the article, I spent like 40 on the first one, and I was excited because I was just getting back in the hobby. And then later, I'm like, well, I could have bought that for $20. And
And you're
back
talking about 90 Fleer. So this is a
the
sealed
90
wax
Fleer.
box of 90
Per,
Fleer, unopened
right,
sealed
right.
wax, but what is like 36 packs or something like that, 24 packs?
In that one, I think there's 36 packs in that
Yeah,
one.
I think that
And
might be a big one.
it's quite a rip. You gotta you gotta have some time to set aside. And so um, looking at those now, they're about 25 or 30, but back
Okay.
then they're about 20. But if you're gonna pull maybe four Jordans and possibly his All-Star card that's in there, um, it could be worth it. But what I can tell you on the All-Star card is those are very off-centered. I've seen if you can get a good grade on an All-Star from 1990, you'll make about 90 to $100. Um,
Okay.
and that's the other thing too. You have to know there's some years where they just did bad cuts
Hmm.
on cards, so that on there was those are cut poorly. You can look at the back of a 1990 Fleer All Star and just see that it's just totally off center because they have these little stars at the bottom, and you'll have like two stars on one side of the description of the player and one star on the other side, so you kind of know it's way off.
That's a good trick to look at. That's an important lesson for people to learn that just because you're pulling a card fresh out of a pack
Right.
does not mean it's gem mint condition whatsoever at all. That's even true for modern cards. Very true
Right.
for modern cards. And you could pull a card out of a Prism, or especially when you get into fancier cards like a National Treasures or Flawless, that's going to have a
Hmm.
patch in there, that's going to have an on-card auto. There's a lot of opportunity for that card to have some type of off-centering or a little bit of surface imperfection during the printing itself. Even though you're pulling it fresh out of the pack, immediately putting it into a protective case, that card may not be a 10. It may not be anywhere close to a 10. I pulled a card the other day out of a pack of Flawless, brand new right out of the pack, and sent it off for grading. It got an 8.5. And it
Hmm.
was right out of the pack, brand new. I probably should have known better than to send off a card. I didn't expect it to get a 10, but I expected it to get a 9, and it got an 8.5, which I was disappointed by. But the cards can have imperfections, and especially when you're dealing with vintage, which is what you're talking about. That in those cards, as you're saying, the centering can be a real problem, and the centering makes a huge difference when it comes
Huge.
to grading cards.
Right. And when they were printing out these cards, I mean, just by the droves, there's probably a little bit less quality control going on back then. But you can still see today, you can look at a Prism card and be like, this is like not even 60-40, it's like 70-30
Right.
on centering. It looks horrible. And so that too, when you're looking to maybe buy a single card, take a look at the front, take a look at the back, and because that you'll get dinged real hard if you're trying to be a flipper or flip cards. It's not definitely not worth the investment.
Right. So your strategy has been specific to Jordan cards. Have you tried the strategy with any other, Hall of Fame or old player, or have you stuck with Jordan?
So when I first got back in, Jordan has the least fluctuation in price as far as you having a negative return. I think what drives the Jordan prices are the people that may just be sending in the bulk orders, and then there's too many listed or too many available. So as flippers and people that are buying cards to send them in for grading, uh, you have to be kind of savvy to be like, well, do I want to send in 10 because I may have to sit on five or six of them for a while before I can put them back in to the market, because I don't want to oversaturate my market. I don't want to compete against myself. So yeah, pretty much for those years, I've focused on Jordan because uh, you know he's a Hall of Famer. Everybody knows who he is. Some people might want to pick up a Jordan card that they don't even really collect cards. They just, maybe they can collect his sneakers, but they want to put some cards up in their little special closet where they have all their Jordan sneakers at, or something like that. So Jordan has an appeal that, goes across, a lot of, lines, not just basketball collectors. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer big time. So for the older stuff, yeah, Jordan. I did get real lucky, and this card I still have to send out. I bought a box of 94.95 Upper Deck, and they've been running from 40 to 60 on eBay, and I found it on OfferUp for 25. Almost everything in there was garbage except for one card. It was a Shaquille O'Neal Hollow View, and I looked, and the last one that has sold, at least in the last 3 months on eBay, at a 9.5, sold for $96. So there's some other guys in there in the junk wax era that if you don't see their card being sold, over and over and over, and sometimes you get lucky because with the 90s stuff, people have moved to the prisms and all this. And if you have a limited budget to spend on the cards and you spend 25, and I could possibly get 96, 96 to $100 on this Shaquille O'Neal that just hasn't really been graded and sold. Population on a 9.5 is probably a 1 right now. And so, there's some other guys in there that you can pull out and make some profit. Definitely.
Right. But obviously it's got to be the key guys.
If
you're going to do that. So that you just mentioned buying a box on OfferUp. I was going to ask, what are the sources that you use these days to find inexpensive junk wax?
So inexpensive junk wax would be, there's always eBay, but be careful. Look at, you have to look at the sold prices. There's some people that are going to put up the old stuff for 50, which is like 2.5 times what you should be paying for it. And then I've looked on OfferUp, and I don't think I've bought much from Facebook Marketplace, but Facebook Marketplace has some pretty good deals. Actually, from watching your video, I picked up a Miles Turner prism, but it was a red. It was a 9.5. It was $30, so I just went ahead and snagged it off of Facebook Marketplace because there's just not that many of them out there, and then there's not that many of them that have been graded. And then when you look at grading, if you go with somebody like PSA and you do a bulk order, you got 65 to 85 days until that card returns to you. So if you're holding, let's say, Miles Turner, and he gets hot and nobody has any of his cards graded yet, hardly, except for those hardcore PC Miles Turner guys, then you can get in on that action and flip something because you already have it graded. Right.
That's a great point. I do like Facebook Marketplace a lot. If you live near a major city, so like here in Atlanta, Facebook Marketplace is very active, and it is actually, I have found it to be an incredible source for junk wax because what people are doing is they're cleaning out their garages, they're cleaning out their attics. I was talking to a lady the other day through Facebook Marketplace who, unfortunately, one of her parents had passed away. I think her dad passed away. And so, they're cleaning out his house, his estate, and he had a big collection of unopened junk wax boxes. And she's just she doesn't know what these things are worth. And she's just looking to kind of dump them and get rid of them as part of the cleaning out the house process.
Right.
So if you live near a major city, you will occasionally see these huge lots of unopened junk wax show up on Facebook Marketplace where you can actually go physically pick them up and buy them, and a lot of times get them for a significantly better price than what you would find on like eBay, for example. Now, obviously, if you aren't near a major city, there may not be enough local Facebook Marketplace listings for that to happen, but I think it's something that you should always keep your eye on.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, the major city I'm closest to is they're all very depressed right now. I'm right outside of Houston.
Right. Well, yeah, They are a little depressed right now, especially all those fans who paid to go to all 4 of those games.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which none of which resulted in a win. What a crazy World Series, huh?
Yes.
Goodness.
But I'm glad the traffic will be better on the way home from work. Jeez.
There you go. There you go. Glad we got that behind us.
Yes.
So any other tips or thoughts for anybody who's interested in employing this strategy and wanting to get into potentially buying junk wax, looking for cards to grade?
Look for a specific card, and look for how it's been selling. And then you have to do your research to find out what series and what year, because remember back then they would have Series 1, Series 2. You have the Series 1 where you have the veterans, and then the Series 2 where you have the traded players and more of the rookies in there. So once you find your card, make sure that you know what product it's in, because you could accidentally, blow a few dollars and like, this is not what I was looking for at all. That person wasn't even in there. Then, like we said, if just because you pull something that might be a great card, rarity really doesn't matter. And in fact, you can decrease the value of your card if you send it in and you get an 8 or below, then you were better off selling it raw, in essence, because now it's known that the card is not a 9.5 or a 10. But I would say do your research and then kind of weigh, if you're looking at this 90s wax stuff, don't be scared to go with a longer submission. If you do 65 to 85 days on Jordan, you're going to be okay. With this newer stuff, if people are sending in all their Dwayne Bacons now to PSA, and we get to 4 months later and the bacon's not sizzling anymore, and you just dumped a lot of money, and you're gonna have a lot of slab bacon, and people are gonna be like, "What's wrong with you, man?"
I don't know. The bacon's going to keep sizzling. I don't know. I'm not so sure about Charlotte, but I got some friends who are real high on Dwayne Bacon. So hopefully the bacon's going to keep sizzling for them.
I have a dozen of his rookie cards, but they're not going anywhere right now.
Yeah, we'll see. He had a great opening game and softened a little since then, but hopefully he'll keep it going.
Yeah.
And you made one point right there, which I wanted to call out because it was something you called out in your article that I thought was a really good point. If you are concentrated on buying the same card, it allows you to, once you pull a bunch of them from different boxes of junk wax, it allows you to put all of them side by side out on your table and compare them all. So it actually helps you figure out which ones are most likely to grade as a 10 or a 9.5. because you can compare it to all of the other examples right in front of you.
Correct. And that's a big key there. If I've only got 1 or 2 of a card, it's harder to tell which one is centered better. And then you find little tricks, like the stars I was telling you about on the back of that All-Star. There's some other stuff with prisms, like all the prisms have the little dimples on the side of the card to the left and the right. I count to see, okay, there's 4 dimples on this side, but there's 5.5 over here. It's not centered. So there's little tricks that you'll see as you're looking at the cards side by side and say, this one just looks off. And so you find the one that compared to the others looks great, and then compare the other ones to that one. And you're probably increasing the chances of you getting a 9.5, a 10 by, I don't know how many percent, but better than the guy who just pulled one and said, okay, I'm going to send it because I like this card.
Awesome. So final question, with the money that you have made from buying the junk wax, sending the cards off for grading, and then being able to sell some of the graded cards at a profit, what are you buying today? Are you buying more junk wax, or have you been buying some of the modern guys?
I was hoping you'd ask that question because I wanted to share. You can do anything with your profit. You can put it in a savings account. You can go to dinner. You can throw it in the air. You can put it on the mattress and roll in it. all of those would have been better than what I did. This is 2016. It was back in 2016, and I'm buying into group breaks. And God bless Wade Baldwin, but I picked up Grizzlies and group breaks in 2016, 2017, and it hasn't paid off until 2018 with Jaren Jackson. And I guess I'm one of those guys that I'm not a gambler, but I try to go with what's the least I can put in for the most reward. And in 2016, picking the Grizzlies and group breaks was not the best way to reinvest my money.
Understood. Well, hopefully that will come back now that you got some Jaren Jackson, and the recent years have certainly been a little bit better.
Definitely.
That's funny. Chris, thanks for joining us on Sports Card Investor. Loved the story.
Thanks a lot, man.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on.
For sure.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed my interview with Chris. And in celebration of that interview, here is my second giveaway for today. I have gone out and bought some junk wax of my own. Some of the junk wax that Chris referenced during the interview. This is 1990 Fleer basketball. What I'm going to do, if you enter my contest, the winner, I'm going to ship 12 packs of 1990 Fleer basketball along with $20 in cash, in hopes that out of one of these packs, maybe you pull a Jordan, and then the $20 in cash is going to cover your submission to send that off to PSA or BGS to have it graded. So you can take exactly what Chris just suggested and put it in action totally for free, courtesy of Sports Card Investor, if you win the contest. And all you have to do to enter the contest is go to my website, sportscardinvestor.com, scroll down right below the first article, the main article on the site, and there is a box that says sign up for free sports card investing tips by email. Simply put your email address in that box and hit submit, and you are in the contest. If you have already done this in the past, if you've already put your email in there, perfect. I got you registered for the contest. Anyone who's ever put their email in there is in the contest. But if you haven't done it yet, go to my website, put your email address in there, and 1 week from today, I'll be picking the winner of the contest from someone who entered their email, and I will be sending them 12 of these packs along with $20 for their BGS or PSA submission. So go do that now. Again, sportscardinvestor.com. And also don't forget about the second giveaway we're doing with 818 Hype Plug for my Discord channel. The link to the Kids Case Breaks giveaway is in the show notes on YouTube or on my podcast. And that is the giveaway for the Dennis Santana rookie card autograph and the Caleb Ferguson rookie card jersey autograph. Guys, when you're on my website, sportscardinvestor.com, make sure to check out the newest article from Brian Flynn, Resources to Evaluate Baseball Prospects. And also, if you have not yet joined my Facebook group or my Discord chat server, the links to join are in the main menu bar of sportscardinvestor.com. You are going to want to join and take part of the great conversation that is taking place in both places. Again, sportscardinvestor.com. Thanks so much for listening to another episode. Hope you enjoyed it today. Look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday with the next one. Take care.